Today we will take a look at the best camera for photography for this year. If you want to find more information, check out links down below. 5. Fujifilm X-S10. The Fujifilm X-S10 is one of the best small, mid-range mirrorless cameras you can buy. It packs much of the Fujifilm X-T4's shooting power into a smaller body with IBIS and great handling. It's a shame there's no official weatherproofing and the tracking autofocus is edged out by its Sony rivals, but those are the only weaknesses of an otherwise near-faultless performer. The Fujifilm X-S10's design is simultaneously vintage Fujifilm and a big change from its other mirrorless cameras. At first glance, it looks like a slightly smaller Fujifilm X-T4 with a larger, deeper grip. Because of that grip, the size difference isn't, in practical terms, much different from the X-T4. The X-S10 is also one of Fujifilm's most user-friendly cameras so far. The X-S10's auto mode is now much more powerful. It lets you shoot raw photos and there's now the option of choosing from 3 different AF modes. 4. Nikon Z6 II. Nikon has taken one of our favorite mirrorless cameras and addressed its main weaknesses. While it might not be class-leading in key areas, it's the Z6 II's strong performance across the board that makes it such a compelling choice. The Nikon Z6 II is the follow-up to the company's first full-frame mirrorless camera, the Z6. The Z6 had a strong set of video specs, including the ability to shoot oversampled 4K for footage with plenty of detail. For the Z6 II, Nikon has tweaked the video capabilities to enable 4K capture up to 60p. The Z6 II uses exactly the same sensor as the Z6 and that's good news, as results from the Z6 were pretty much class-leading. The full-frame 24.5 megapixels BSI sensor in the Z6 II delivers excellent levels of detail. If you need to regularly print above A3, you might be swayed by the 45.7 megapixels sensor in the Z7 II, or the D850, but the resolution on offer here should satisfy most shooters. 3. Canon EOS R6. The Canon EOS R6 might be the mirrorless alternative to the very popular EOS 6D Mark II DSLR, but it's way more than just an upgrade. Its autofocus performance and image stabilization are best in class, while a blitzing burst speed makes it perfect for any sports or wildlife scenario. Long story short, it's one of the best all-rounders you can get, although its 20 megapixels sensor resolution might not suit everyone. It's Canon's first try at in-body image stabilization and, boy, has the company nailed it. It also makes shooting video an absolute pleasure. Yes, there are limitations when shooting 4K footage, and you aren't going to get the R5's impressive 8K option here. But Canon has made it very clear that the EOS R6 is first and foremost a stills camera. The EOS R6 doesn't offer a huge size advantage over its 6D Mark II DSLR. Another major improvement the R6 brings is dual card slots, both of which support SD-RS2 format. You can record to both simultaneously if you wish or one at a time. 2. Fujifilm X-T4. The Fujifilm X-T4 is the best APS-C mirrorless camera you can buy right now. There's enough here to persuade both photographers and filmmakers over the X-T3, including the significantly improved battery life, in-body image stabilization, quieter shutter, and design tweaks that make a big difference to the handling. The X-T4's design is both charming and intuitive, while its class-leading photo and video specs are backed up by powerful performance. The Fujifilm X-T4 is a mirrorless camera with a split personality. On the outside it's all retro dials and analog chic, but inside it's packed with more advanced features than we've seen from any Fujifilm X-T camera so far. Fujifilm doesn't often make dramatic departures from its retro blueprint, and the X-T4 is no different. Let's just say that if you've picked up an X-T series camera before, you'll feel right at home here. We're fans of the premium Fujifilm X-T ethos. It centers around those bold analog-style dials on the top plate. The dedicated dials are for ISO, shutter speed and exposure compensation. Paired with an aperture ring found in many of Fujifilm's lenses, this provides you with all the key exposure controls at your fingertips. If the design of a camera entices you to use it more, then the X-T4 could well be your constant companion. There is definitely an emotional connection for camera fans. 1. Sony A7 IV. The Sony A7 IV is the best hybrid mirrorless camera you can buy right now. A truly modern all-rounder that largely justifies its price tag, it packs class-leading autofocus, impressive image quality and powerful video features into one versatile body. Dedicated street or sports photographers should look elsewhere, and it isn't the fastest shooter in its class. There are some small compromises on the A7 IV. Its outright image quality isn't actually a big jump up from the Sony A7 III, with the extra detail from that resolution boost somewhat counterbalanced by some understandable noise at higher ISOs. Its battery life, in-body image stabilization and burst shooting speeds are also merely average rather than class-leading. The Sony A7 IV might look like a clone of its predecessor, but there are quite a few subtle upgrades that collectively make it a much more enjoyable camera to use. On the top you'll find an improved electronic viewfinder with a 3.69 million dot resolution and 120 fps refresh rate. That extra resolution is handy for those who like to regularly crop into their photos, but in general the A7 IV's improvements are geared more towards versatility rather than absolute image quality.